Story 1. I will save more money. I will take better care of my teeth. I will eat less junk food. I will not date people who are a waste of time. I will worry less. I will appreciate the irreplaceable things more. I will avoid saying mean or wrong things. I will choose a different career path. Story 2. Knowing myself, I would not repeat the same foolish choices I made over the past 31 years, but I would make different foolish choices because I am human. Avoiding the traps I fell into then does not mean I would avoid new traps, though hopefully the overall result would be a better life. There are career changes I would make and financial decisions I would handle better. For example, on the day I graduated from college, Apple stock sold for 15 cents a share. If I had bought $5,000 worth of Apple stock that day, it would be worth $4.6 million today. Story 3. Grandma, you have cancer that will kill you in 9 years because it was caught too late. Story 4. Focus more in high school. Keep in touch with my best friend after she moved across town. Talk with my dad more about family matters. Apologize for being difficult in middle school. Decide on my major much sooner. Story 5. When I was a freshman in high school, I would go back and relive those years, being completely myself as I should have been. Story 6. I should have taken better care of my teeth. Thank you for the awards. Looking back, I wish someone had explained that cavities are holes that form in teeth, not caused by an invasive organism like bacteria. Story 7. Do not date my first girlfriend. Maintain friendships while moving. Take college more seriously. Buy Bitcoin. Hug my grandparents more often. Story 8. Honestly, just the knowledge that many of the things my 15-year-old self was worrying about ultimately did not bring about the end of the world would have helped. I would know which things to stress about and which ones I could let go of. Story 9. I go directly to the police to report my father for abuse. Story 10-1. Good dental hygiene. Floss and brush twice a day. 2. Make exercise part of each day. It is harder to make this a routine as you get older. The fitter you are when you are younger, the more it will help you when you are older. 3. Continue pursuing things that I find interesting even if I am not and will never be good at them. It is wonderful to have activities to enjoy for their own sake. 4. Be kinder to my parents, especially my mum. It is a lot of responsibility and they did their best. 5. Take feedback and criticism in stride and do not let every negative comment make me question everything. Edit. This is my most upvoted comment. I have genuinely enjoyed every reply here. I feel very happy and connected to so many people. What a nice day. Story 11. Try to convince my dad to short airline stocks in about a year. Gamble a lot on sports. Story 12. I take my little brother to the hospital because he has a tumor that no one knows about. I tell my dad that he should not sell his company because we would end up homeless. I buy Bitcoin. I live with my family and appreciate them. Many years later, I go to the International House of Pancakes and see the waitress. I ask her on a date. Hopefully I can keep both of my families this time. Story 13. Be alone for a while. I do not want anything to do with most high schoolers. Story 14. Buy domain names and sell them once the internet becomes more mainstream. Story 15. Stop my brother from killing himself. Edit. I posted this without thinking and fell asleep almost immediately afterward. Thank you all so much for the overwhelming support. I still miss him more than I ever knew was possible, but it helps to think that he is no longer suffering the same kind of agony he was. And to the person who asked why and deleted their comment, burn in hell. Edit 2. I read all the comments and I cannot muster the strength to reply to them all, but I love you all and I hope that one day we can all find true peace, and that if there is an afterlife and a god or gods, I hope they are helping our loved ones see us through this until we can see them again. Story 16. Watch my dad die all over again, since by my 15th birthday it was already too late to treat his cancer. Miss my children, knowing they will never exist. Buy some Bitcoin and overdose on cocaine on the yacht that I keep in the pool of my other yacht. Story 17. I would not be too afraid to report my father to the authorities. I would not live in fear of his hands. I would fight back like I never did. Story 18. I would want to tweak a few things. Hit the pricks who messed with me. Kiss the girl when I should have. Spend more time with my old man. Little things. Story 19. Get some Bitcoin. Put a lot of effort into regular workouts. Learn professional cooking skills so I can prepare fancy meals for myself. Story 20. If this were to happen, the results would likely be bittersweet. It is easy to solve past problems in our minds, and those solutions might work in a time travel scenario. But life adapts and new, unexpected situations always arise. I would probably encounter another problem later and regret a different decision. There are many comments in this thread about taking advantage of financial opportunities. I might become a Bitcoin billionaire. But who is to say I would not suffer the same fate as many lottery winners? Taxes, bankruptcy, fake friends, and so on. Story 21. Everyone says what they would do differently while I would be having a total mental breakdown. Can you imagine going back to living with your parents? Waking up at 6 a.m. to catch a bus to be in class by 8 a.m.? Taking exams again? Having to study all over again? I have nightmares about that. Please, I'd rather remain an adult. Story 22. Lose body fat. Start lifting weights and running. Play fewer video games. Sleep more. Story 23. I will improve my performance in school. Have more risky experiences. Obtain my driver's license sooner. And live a better life. Story 24. Prosecute my ex-boyfriend for raping me. Call Child Protective Services on my mom and actually give information this time. Everything else can stay the same, mistakes and all. But if I could do it again, I would do those two things differently. Story 25. I am sad that my daughter will never be born. I am currently divorcing her mother after a 15-year abusive marriage. Story 26. I would not go to university. I would travel more and spend additional time deciding the direction I want for my life. Story 27. Recognize that my boyfriend is trying to groom me. Break up with him before it is too late. Story 28. All the fun of those hypotheticals vanished the moment my daughter was born. I know I could never recreate the exact circumstances to have the same child, but I would have to put everything I have into trying. Doing otherwise is unimaginable. It would be years of stress, planning, and dread, knowing I am essentially doomed to fail at the only thing that matters. The one thing I am trying desperately to achieve. I would constantly feel like an idiot for pouring myself into something that will never work, and I would feel guilt for even contemplating giving up. There is basically no good ending. Eventually, I either have a child who is clearly not her and try not to burden them with my grief, or I have a child who might be her and spend the rest of my life struggling with the question whether it is really her without letting my preoccupation hurt her, or I give up and live feeling like I abandoned my daughter and erased her from existence. My poor wife would suffer in all of this. Basically, the question what if you could redo your life used to be a fun thought experiment. Then I met the love of my life and adopted a couple of cats, and it grew more emotionally complicated. Then I had a perfect baby girl, and imagining this scenario became like imagining hell. Story 29. Take a different course in college, perhaps information technology. Stay off the internet. Be more open and social and work on my interpersonal skills. Build connections and a better relationship with my family. Story 30. People here are getting rich or saving lives, but I am 100% using this as an opportunity to deploy the clever responses I come up with hours later to various people. I still have many of them memorized because my brain reviews late at night the stupid things I have said and done over the decades, so I feel prepared. Story 31. Fuck. I'd be rich. If I were still in the music industry, the shit I know now would have been insane then. Story 32. The same thing I do every night. Try to take over the world. Story 33. I would have started my relationship with my soon-to-be wife when I first met her instead of waiting a year. I would have warned my mother about her lung condition so she would still be here with me. Outside of those major changes, I probably would have invested in Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and GameStop and helped my family with the gains. Story 34. Tell my parents I was depressed and go through therapy and take medication. Ask that girl out. She is a wonderful person and she absolutely has a crush on you. Talk to more people and stop pushing them away. You will not disappoint them, and they will not hurt you. Fix your relationship with your mom. She will have cancer later, so make the time count. Learn Vietnamese. Your grandparents will become sicker, and you will want to be able to talk to them before they pass away. Stop worrying about embarrassing yourself. For every person who may find your interests embarrassing, there will be another who thinks they are cool. Stop playing Counter-Strike. Global offensive all the time and explore the hobbies you always wanted to try. I know you are depressed, but you will regret wasting all that time on a game you hate. Things will get better. Story 35. Tell my parents to go fuck themselves and get the apprenticeship I want. Story 36. Stop beating my meat so much and ask that girl out. Stop being cringe. Go straight for it. She's gonna reject you and ask your friend out instead, but it's better to get rejected in person than over the phone. Story 37. This would be a lot of fun. No problems with school subjects, no depression, and no anxiety. I would make the most of it. Story 38. Try to be Jeff's friend. Jeff was a big deal in middle school. We went to different elementary schools, so I never heard of him before then, but as soon as I arrived, his name was everywhere. He was the toughest kid in our grade, the most athletic, the best looking, and the coolest, according to both boys and girls. The other boys wanted to be his friend, or they kept their distance because he looked like someone you did not want to anger. All the girls liked him, and he was dating and making out with girls all the time. He even dated at least 2 girls a year ahead of us, one of whom was the most popular girl in her grade. It was basically unheard of, but he did it. He was in my 6th grade class, and despite his coolness and popularity, Jeff had problems controlling himself. He caused mischief and trouble in ways that were sometimes funny and sometimes worrying. He smoked on school grounds with other troubled kids, and he would get physical with anyone who provoked him. Because of that, he got detentions and suspensions. That year our class had a field trip I do not remember, but I remember the bus ride. Jeff and I were on the same bus, and for some reason he chose to sit next to me. On the way there he talked about different things, and because I thought he was a bully I listened and asked questions. He seemed okay with that. At one point he talked about his home life and said his dad would hit him upside the head. He averted his eyes and said it like a joke, but I could tell he was upset and trying to play it off. On the way back the bus stopped and some kids got snacks from vending machines. I went to get a drink and a snack. I got the drink, but for some reason I could not get the snack. I do not remember if I came up short on money or if the machine ate my money. Whatever the cause, I was hungry and upset. Without my asking, Jeff stepped in, put $1 in the machine and said, "I got you." After that, we sat next to each other on the bus. Later that year, we had a substitute teacher. Some kids were acting out and I was laughing. The substitute, a middle-aged woman, was angry and started yelling at us. She physically grabbed me by the shoulders and pushed me down into my chair. I was frightened and hurting. When class ended, Jeff grabbed my arm and said, "Come on, we're going to the office." He basically pushed and pulled me down the hallway to the principal's office. I was too afraid to refuse. Jeff did the talking to the principal while I sat silently, nodding when asked if what Jeff said was true. The principal had many run-ins with Jeff and was wary of him, but I remember the concerned look on his face while Jeff explained what happened. The principal said he would look into the incident. At the time, I assumed Jeff was using me to cause trouble or give the principal another headache. But I did not say anything. I was too scared. Jeff was expelled early in 8th grade. Word spread fast because he was such a well-known figure. I do not remember the exact reason or the final straw. He basically disappeared in 2003, and I did not see him for years. I later heard he got kicked out of another school, then out of a Catholic school, and ended up at a rundown public school. I did not know whether he finished high school. In the fall of 2007, when I was a high school senior, I was at a friend's house after a party. Out of nowhere, Jeff showed up with a guy I used to be friends with. I had not seen Jeff since 2003. He was still big, about 6'3", and still had that socially and physically dominant presence. He joked with the guy he came with and playfully pushed him, almost making him fall. Being alpha was how he had always been. I was sitting on the couch when the host asked Jeff, "You remember me?" Then he added, "You remember me?" Meaning me. Jeff stared at me for a few seconds, stepped closer, looked me in the eyes, and extended his hand to shake. He did not say anything, then went back to his beer and jokes. That was the last time I saw him before he died. Jeff died a few years ago, probably from a drug overdose, likely heroin. He was 27. I learned that his father, who had been abusive when Jeff was a child, left the family when Jeff was about 15 or 16. It looked like Jeff, his mother, and his little sister had to move to a rougher, more rundown area. He fell into a drug crowd after being expelled from middle school. His older brother had overdosed and died when we were in 7th grade, which I remember people whispering about around school. It took me until I was 30 to put my brief but meaningful moments with Jeff together. I had spent years thinking he was a school bully and that I was afraid of him, but I realized I never saw him bully anyone and he never bullied me. On the bus, he was grateful that I listened when he talked about his father. Because I was kind to him, he helped me at the vending machine. After the substitute teacher hurt me, he did not use me to start trouble. He took me to the principal to help. When I saw him at the party years later, he remembered those 6th grade moments and reached out to me with a handshake. I am truly sad he is gone. As kids, I never would have thought I would feel this way about him or that he would die young. He seemed like the last person who would not make it, but his demons took him. Once I understood him, I began thinking of Jeff as a legend of my childhood. Recently, I realized that calling him a legend does not fully express what he means to me. In a life filled with hurt, from people I once called friends and family, and abuse from others, Jeff is one of the only people whose kindness and memory remain untarnished. He was good to me, respectful, kind, decent, caring, supportive, fearless, empathetic, friendly, and true. He was never anything but good to me for as long as I knew him. He is the best friend I never had. He is not just a legend. He is my hero. Story 39, 1. I immediately write down every financially advantageous date and event I can remember, from Beanie Babies to Bitcoin. 2. I give that information to my parents, but I know I will need to convince them that it is reliable. 3. I tell them things about themselves and memories they shared with my adult self at different life stages that a 15-year-old could not know. I make minor predictions such as ball game outcomes and what will happen on television shows before they air, so they know I am worth listening to. 4. I return to school and am confused about who I should find attractive, what is allowed versus what is wise, and become bogged down in the deeper implications. 5. I struggle to find meaningful relationships among peers because I think like an adult, either socializing with children or making adults uncomfortable because I prefer adult company. I wrestle with the ethics of attraction. 6. I get into frequent trouble with teachers because I think like an adult and cannot ignore problematic comments. Every casual or arbitrary remark in a classroom full of children becomes a burden. 7. After securing my family's immediate financial future, I work on their psychological stability and mental well-being, not by offering overt counseling, but by giving small nudges in the right direction. 8. Realizing I already possess the knowledge to secure my desired standard of living takes pressure off learning. I finally connect with my schooling and learn algebra for the first time. 9. Profit, prosper, peace. Story 40. Go straight to my room, blast Portman 5000 from my humongous compact disc player, and bury my head in my pillow while I cry. High school was a living hell for me, and living with my stepmom was too. But after I came to terms with my situation, I would find my dad, who died last year, hug him tight, and then do the same with my grandparents. Then after that, I might cut down a bully or 3. I have gotten surprisingly good at insults and standing up for myself in my old age. Oh, and have a Dairy Queen blizzard. I wasn't lactose intolerant at 15, and holy shit do I miss blizzards. Story 41. Do not use cannabis to cope with problems. Address problems first, then use cannabis to enjoy yourself. Story 42. Learn to be social, friendly, and supportive. Forget grades. The average friendly, confident person will get further than the average. I got an A person. Story 43. Stay in college. Mine a few bitcoins. Not move out on my own at 17. Avoid having a child as early as I did. Remember who my real friends were. Keep up with my fitness. Get psychological help sooner. Leave the country. Break off contact with my mother sooner. Jesus, this is depressing. Story 44. Transition at age 15 instead of age 21. Buy some Bitcoin. Try not to change the timeline beyond that so I still meet my current girlfriend. The love of my life. Story 45. I will move out as soon as I turn 16. My parents were very toxic and harmful to my mental health. Story 46. Save more money from that part-time job and invest it. Do not date yet. Finish university and start therapy earlier. Invest in Bitcoin when it is small. Travel even more than I did and spend more time with my grandparents before they passed away. Story 47. Gather as much funding as possible, invest in opportunities one expect will grow significantly, and use the capital to become an independent expenditure-only political action committee and strategically undercut certain agendas and politicians before they become a problem. Story 48. Ditch my friends and nurture my real friendships. Learn to embrace my own interests instead of trying to fit in with others. Smile more. Story 49. Okay, so I am 52 years old. I would make very different decisions. Hindsight is 2020. Story 50. Cut off all my friends, study until I cannot keep my eyes open, and commit to a bodybuilding regimen. Story 51. I was 15 in 1982. Reread replay by Ken Grimwood for pointers. Seek truly new experiences. Take better care of my teeth. Enjoy rewatching every twist-ending movie that is new in theaters. Feeling uncomfortable trying not to spoil the plot for others. Study computer science earlier. Feel greater cognitive dissonance watching shows such as The Cosby Show or The Apprentice. Keep a journal to keep my thoughts organized. Worry whether I could have done anything to stop September 11, 2001, and likely conclude I could not. Build a nest egg and leave home earlier. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.